Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today is a very special episode. We have the Innervoice media crew with us today. So we have Brandon Vetter and Joey Ketchus, who are the residents or the storytellers in residence over at Innervoice Media. Hey guys, just want to say first off, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Adam. It's great to be here.
All right, so always love working with the Innervoice Media company, and we've had quite a few individuals from your crew over here and on the show, and excited to go further into today's content, which is going to be really how to create great content, and from the storytellers in residence, who better to have on the show. But we'll start this episode the way that we start them all, with our Mission Matters Minute. So we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. What mission matters to you?
Yeah, I think the longer I've been doing this, the more focused my mission has kind of gotten on creating empathy, telling stories, giving people an honest look into other situations that they would not find themselves in a way that creates empathy, which is, I think, kind of the wellspring where a lot of world-changing, kind of motivations come from, whether it's innovation or, it kind of all comes from there. And, I think filmmaking and storytelling is, it's kind of this superpower of all of these different art forms that create this thing that makes, true kind of empathy possible. So yeah, that's kind of one of probably my guiding light, or the question that I ask myself when I'm approaching a story.
And what about you, Joey?
Brandon said it so well. Yeah, to piggyback on what Brandon was saying, when I think of mission, I think of purpose. And our purpose as filmmakers is to tell the story. And mission matters to me because when you tell the story, those behind the camera are impacted working as a team. And those who get to see the story as it's told are also impacted. So this visual language is powerful, and it's a wonderful thing to be storyteller in residence working with Innervoice, because that's what they enable us to do, is to tell the story and to impact people through story.
Yeah. And so we'll go further, and thank you for sharing that, by the way. And we'll go further into Innervoice as well, media, and the things that you're doing there. But I think let's go a little bit further back in your career. So when did you first really want to get on this path as a filmmaker? Like, where did all that begin for you, the creative process?
You want to start on that one?
I can attribute it to two things. One is the movie Jaws. No movie had more emotional impact on me than the movie Jaws. It's a movie that struck fear into my heart, and to this day, I am afraid of the water because of that film.
It ruined a whole
generation.
Just
seeing the effect, it ruined me.
It ruined me.
See the effect a film could have on a person, on a psychologically, the way the film could impact you that way just spoke to me as a 6-year-old when I saw that film. And I think that drew me into filmmaking right from the get-go. The other one that I really loved was I used to work as a VHS repairman. That was my first job. I would fix VHS tapes that had snapped or become broken. Nobody in this generation even knows what a VHS is anymore. But I used to watch all those films as they would come in. And I just really grew in my love for filmmaking and the way films speak to people. Every film sends a message. And just the ability to tell a message with the camera is really exciting to me, with images.
Oh my gosh, that's both great stories. I remember Jaws, first off, I'm from Michigan, so the lakes, Great Lakes, right? And I remember, you know, being really scared and my parents
Yeah.
being like, even if there was a shark coming, it wouldn't be in like Lake Michigan. It's not happening, number one. But then another thing I learned here, I didn't know there was VHS repairmen. I know what a VHS tape is. I didn't know you could repair them. So learning today, Joey.
Yep.
What about for
That's
you?
awesome.
What about for you, Brandon? How'd you get started?
Yeah, you know, I kind of started as a musician and a writer, and you know, kind of on the periphery of all these different art forms. And you know, I think I started to realize that putting them together in this kind of filmic way, you know, was the first time that I've, you know, making a first film or a first documentary was kind of the first time that I ever felt like I was able to communicate fully,
Mm,
you know, truly, you know, making a film about a trip or something like this, where it's like telling the story. Just missed so much of kind of what I wanted to get across to whoever I was telling the story to, but making a film and being able to kind of imbue it with those moments and those cliffhangers and the pressure and the, you know,
yeah.
this thing aided by music and visuals and colors, like you know, it just kind of unlocked something in me where it was like,
Mm,
oh, this is how I speak, this is
mm,
my language.
That's great.
yeah. And so going a little bit, so after you have this passion, you know, so in your case, it was in your case, Joey, it was, you know, being traumatized by Jaws, or for Brandon, for yourself, you found a means of communication. So now you have this thing that's in you and that you have to get out of, that you just can't. I'll say for myself, it was like entrepreneurship media, like what I do. I couldn't get away from it if I wanted to. It's there. I can't help it. I'm like, that's how I think. That's what I do. That's how I sleep. Those are my dreams, unfortunately. But it just happens, right? So you have this thing inside of you that you maybe love, and you love going to do, or you can't get rid of, whatever it is. How do you start to kind of go down that path to start to express yourself and kind of make it something that you actually do, like as a profession?
Yeah, it's a great question. Brandon, you want to
Yeah, I
start with
mean,
that?
you know, it's such a weird business because it
Yeah.
is just everyone has their own path when it comes to this. And you know, I was talking to someone about my film school class, which is now like 20 years ago, and recently, and kind of realized that there's like two or three people out of, you know, maybe 80 to 100 people that are still doing this.
Mm,
And you know, I find that a lot. I find that, you know, kind of people that are persistent, you
mm,
know, usually are able to kind of like make it further, because it is just you know, unlike most other things where you can kind of like, there's this set pathway where, you know, you
mhm.
can make a manager and then
Yeah.
corporate manager and, you know, jump through these hoops. This is just a completely different
Mhm,
setup, and which is a curse and a blessing, because you know, the gatekeepers don't stop you so early, but
mhm,
you know, there obviously there are gatekeepers.
mhm,
So you know, I think that one of the things that I'm really thankful for is being able to kind of um, figure out what my voice was, and what I
mhm,
wanted to put out into the world, what kind of stories I wanted to put out in the world, and realized pretty early on that that's the only thing that matters about me. You know, like trying to do someone else's thing um, is, you know, which all of us do at beginning
mhm,
in film school, and you kind of have to emulate. But I think the sooner that you realize kind of like why you're weird and specific, and your life experience is the only thing that people want out of you, you know,
mhm,
like making the movies that only you could make as
mhm.
early as possible. That's, you know, that's kind of, I forget the question even, but that's where it led me. So
That's a great
yeah.
answer.
Yeah, it's really just how you further yourself down the path, and I think you answered the question great, actually, and in terms of like how people do it, because I feel like, especially for the creatives out there, like there's so many different ways to be creative nowadays, but versus, let's just say, when Joey was fixing those VHS tapes, we didn't have the same technology, right? So we couldn't do what we could do now with cameras, with anything, right? It's just so much easier to at least produce content. But I think, when we talk about creating the story and what we want to do, and like what matters to us, I think that's something special, and that's something that's different and unique. And I think it's also very unique to, not saying one content's better than another or anything like that, but I think it's unique to those that have that filmmaker mindset versus maybe just going to shoot content or going to shoot something different. Like there's something else that goes into that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah. If I could just piggyback even on what Brandon was saying, just again, what's accessible today to filmmakers in terms of camera, lenses, audio, you have so much accessible these days that just wasn't the case 15 years ago. But I've always encouraged people, if you love doing this, just get some buddies or family who you love making films with and get out there and do it. That's the most important thing is passion, education, learn from people, and then get out there and do it. I remember when I was working as a VHS repairman, I had a little handy cam that my dad bought me and my brothers, and we would just make short films, and we would
Wow.
put them on a VHS and distribute them around school and let other students watch them, because there was no like internet then, no formal internet where you could get on and throw it on Vimeo or YouTube. So we had to pass around VHS tapes around school, and that's how we kind of got our audience. So yeah, you just take the tools you have, whether you have a $90,000 camera or your iPhone, get out there and make content, make films, make videos, do what you're passionate about, and don't let your mentality weigh you down or anything like that. Just get out there and create what you love to create and the stories you love to tell.
Yeah. So I want to jump around here a bit. So first off, storytellers in residence, other than being the coolest title ever, how did you get this title? And tell us a little bit more about what you do over at Innervoice Media.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a way to kind of solidify or bring us into this team, where Joey and I are both have these kind of other projects that are taking energy and time, but to be able to kind of call this place a home base, where we can take this narrative and documentary experience that we have for 20 plus years, and kind of bring that to the table when it comes to even script writing sessions here, or documentary planning, or just like it's a great way to kind of like keep us in the room. And I think it's so good for us as well, in terms of just kind of like being able to work with all the people here kind of on a regular basis, and just like cultivate and use our experience to kind of cultivate what we think is the best version of a media production company, but without having to worry about the taxes.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a great way to put it.
And so maybe tell me a little bit more about why you choose Innervoice Media as a home base, whether it's the people, and also, tell us a little bit more about the facilities and what makes it great as a home base.
Yeah, that title, storyteller in residence, that word residence makes me think of family, community, team, and that's really what you get over here at Innervoice. You have people who are talented, incredibly good at what they do, but also supportive in the way like a family is. And so being able to work with them on projects together, but also to come to them and say, hey, I'm having this issue, or I need this piece of equipment, and they're able to furnish that for you and for the project. So yeah, it's both talent and personality and what this team provides. They also have a wealth of equipment here that supplies filmmakers like Brandon and I with the tools needed to get the story told. So it's a both and. I mean, if you come to their facilities, you walk in and you see all these great movie props around, and it's just this fun filmmakers, like you said, Willy Wonka experience. But then when you get into their equipment, you see like, oh, they have this camera, this lens, this package that is needed to tell this story. So they really just provide you everything needed, from personnel to equipment, and it's a beautiful partnership, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's I grew up here and, lived in LA for 15 years, making films down there, and then moved my family back 3 or 4 years ago. And when I first came into this facility, like, we're in a smaller town in Northern California, the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas. I never imagined that something like this could exist up here. The equipment, rivals. I mean, there's more access to equipment, high level equipment, than most rental houses in LA, certainly San Francisco. And they're, like, just really thoughtfully put together camera packages. And, usually in LA, when you have this kind of wealth of gear, there are gatekeepers that kind of keep you away from using that stuff, whether it's a studio system or, just a rental house that, TV shows have their teeth in, and they're taking all the gear, where this is anyone can come and rent this stuff, which is incredible and kind of unlike, any situation I've ever seen.
And I understand that's
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, in addition to the rental, I've partnered with Innervoice on at least 4 narrative projects, and the pool of talent here as well, from camera operating, lighting, sound design, boom operators. They bring a whole team that fills every role that you'll need on a production. And Steven, the projects he's produced for me, he's always just pooled together resources and talent, and really made projects come to life that, wouldn't be possible without him and his team. So.
Yeah, he makes it happen. This is good. So one piece
That's the
of
way
it
to
is,
put it.
he makes it happen. I've seen it time and time again. It's good. And I've worked with many of the team as well and interviewed them over the course of the last year or two. And it's been a delight. So, I mean, I can attest to everything you said for sure. And so one piece of the business, as you mentioned, is definitely like the rental side of things, but then they're also doing full production over there as well. Whether it be for companies, films, other things. Maybe talk a little bit more about that for me.
Yeah, every time I come here, I'm always so intrigued to see the shoots that are going on. I mean, just full on productions in their soundstage. Last week or a week ago, they had a music video shoot, and they had LED walls up, and I think it was 7 or 8 cameras going on, and this big production that they'll do in-house. But they'll also take production outside of studio. They'll shoot, whether it's a film or a brand film or commercial, they go on location. So they have the facilities to shoot things on a soundstage or go on location. But that's the experience you get with their team, is they bring a team of professionals who, they can cover every role on a film set. So from top to bottom, from producing, pre-production, to actually executing the production with a full team and post-production. They do it all. They're a full service production company. So it's always a joy to work with them because, any role you need filled, they have it. They can cover it.
Let's
and that's so important too, because I was just going to add to that. It's so important that they have this kind of breadth of knowledge and experience from the idea stage and pre-production all the way to post and delivering a watchable film. Because, there's production companies that are kind of specialists at, online and post-production or just production or whatever. And, you'd miss a lot, when you're not thinking about kind of the long tail of a movie and making those right decisions that are going to bite you later, because you've done it and you're thinking about the entire thing.
I want to let's bring it to present day here. Is there any projects or things that you're currently working on that you'd like to highlight or maybe talk about? Either of you.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. You want to talk about it? Or?
Come on, somebody give it to me. I got you on live for a reason.
Talk about some of your documentary stuff too.
No.
He's got some great stuff, man. We gotta hear from.
Yeah, I mean, it's making a living in this business is all about keeping as many irons in the fire as possible. Because everything with productions that are so big and varied, they all take so long and need different things at different times. And, maybe the money comes over here, but you're also writing grants for this one over here and you're trying to cast this one, so it's like, you really have to, just wear a ton of different hats and keep a bunch of different projects going at the same time. Because hopefully one of them will be paying you, at in that moment. So, I have a feature-length documentary that I've been working on with a frequent collaborator, Patrick Shen, called As Slow as Possible, which is a film that we've been traveling internationally, telling stories of humans' interaction with time, and trying to uncover and promote long-term thinking, projects that instill and inspire us to think a little bit more long-term than, our kids or, just one generation, in a way that, is really gets us back to, some of these kind of cathedral type projects, that assume that we're going to be around for a little bit. And that one's been so fun because it's very heady and kind of idealistic. There's another documentary that I've been working on that's about this very specific kind of political movement in Northern California that's like, a little bit more, feet on the ground, and journalistic. A project that Joey and I have been developing together, which has been so fun since we've both been back in town, is a little narrative film that we kind of created and wrote around this incredible observatory out in the middle of nowhere up here, that we have both been seeing since we were kids. And so we've kind of written a film around this incredible handmade observatory, kind of just this incredible location, and putting themes to that. And so we've been working on that together, which has been fun, and with the whole team here at Innervoice as well.
Yeah, that's a really exciting project because it'll bring us together, Innervoice all together. It's a short film, but it will be a project that includes basically everyone that's part of the Willy Wonka experience, man. So it's going to be really exciting. But yeah, that's the project that I think I'm really most excited about in 2023 is that short film. As a cinematographer, when I see locations I get really excited, and that observatory is it just screams all kinds of fun sci-fi things like Interstellar, E.T., all these films that I love. It's one that I'm really looking forward to. Aside
Awesome.
from that, I have a few other short films I'm working on at the moment. One's a period piece that's Civil War related. That's in pre-production, as well as another one that's in pre-production that deals with a father-daughter relationship. So I love shooting short films. It's one of my favorite things to do. And like Brandon said, this location yields itself to some really great spots for narrative storytelling.
Amazing. All right, guys. So last question, and whoever wants to go first, up to you. But I'll say, so if you could go back and talk to yourself earlier in the career, and where I came up with this question is when you're talking about the time thing. If you could go back and give yourself a word of advice, or give yourself some tips, kind of on the journey going forward, specifically to the profession, right, filmmaking. What kind of things would you tell yourself, like if you could give yourself some tips on the way going forward?
Boy, man,
who wants to take
how
that
much
one?
time do we have, Adam? I
That's
gotta
a
really
big last one.
gotta,
I told you.
I gotta really talk to myself, man.
No, take it.
Is it okay to jump in? Okay.
Run.
So I would say, if I could boil it down to one idea, I would say do not fear. I think what holds back a lot of creatives is fear. We're insecure. We compare ourselves to others, and that holds back so much creativity and art from pouring forth out of us. And so I would tell my younger self, I would say, don't fear. You'll feel fear, embrace it, but move forward. Trust God, pray, and just execute the project you have on your heart without fear of judgment or criticism. Just step forward and tell the story that you want to tell. That's what I would tell myself. Quit living in fear, move forward, and make your project happen.
It's great. It's great. Yeah. I tell myself that one every day. Don't be scared. Go do it, Adam. What do you got? What do you got for me, Brandon?
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in that kind of big realm, as well as what Joey was saying. Is just kind of, lean in. And I mentioned it a little bit earlier, lean into, yourself and your synchronicities, and just kind of like the thing that is the most you is the thing that is the most interesting. And people can get really off track trying to do something else and make a film like Michael Bay or a film like Paul Thomas Anderson or whatever it is. But I think just having faith that your uniqueness is kind of the thing that matters. Like watching this Oscar season has been so fun because the Daniels, the directing team that made this film called Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is just this crazy film that no one else on earth could have made. No one on earth could have made that film. And it's this tiny film that, these guys were music video directors, and now they're leading with the most nominations for the Academy Awards because they made this, they just like drove straight into their weirdness. And, it's like, I think that's what it is. People want to see you,
Sure. Yes. It's good.
Yes, they did. It was a great film. If somebody's watching this and they want to continue to follow your journeys, and these new films that you'll be working on and that'll be released, I mean, what's the best way for people to keep up with your content overall?
Yeah, my last film that is released is on Amazon and all of the the kind of streaming channels. It's called Strange Negotiations, and it's a documentary about a musician who loses his faith kind of in a way that his music tells the story as he goes. And yeah, that one's kind of available everywhere. There's a film called In Pursuit of Silence that I collaborated with Patrick on, who I'm doing the new film. That film is available everywhere as well. That's about humans' relationship with sound. And yeah, you know, BrandonVetter.com is kind of the easiest thing for me. And, you know, all of the socials are just at Brandon Vetter.
Yeah. It's great.
Perfect. And we'll put all that information in the show notes so that our team.
Great. You can find my work on Instagram at Storylit Films and keep up with it there. Also through collaborations with Innervoice. You know, there's a lot of social media posts there too as well. So either one of those places is a great way to find stuff I'm working on or to just get a hold of me in general. Do we freeze?
I think so.
Oh, did you?
Think we froze? Oh. Sounds like you're getting sucked back into the Matrix, Adam. There you go. think we might have froze. But we were winding
I can
down.
hear you. That's the beauty of live right there.
Oh, there you are.
Well, I can.
We got you now. There you are. Gotcha.
There I am, kinda. And there's an edited version of this as well. So it happens once in a while. Let's see.
I don't know. I like this version. You never know what's happening with this version, so I'm liking this.
Look at this. Let's see. And this like little test here. So
yeah, we got you now.
We'll edit that one. So Joey, if you want to leave, let me ask you, Joey. So how can people follow up and follow your content as well? That's the part that I recall.
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Storylit Films. And then if you want to see other posts I'm doing with Innervoice, follow their Instagram. But that's the best way to keep up with my current work and to get a hold of me as well, oftentimes.
Fantastic. And we'll put all that information into the show notes so that our audience can just click on the links and check out your films, and also check out the websites and social media handles as well. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters or engaging with the Mission Matters episode, we're all about bringing on business owners, entrepreneurs, experts, creatives, and really having them share their mission, the reason behind their mission, their work, and really what we can all learn and gain from that so that we all grow together. If that's the type of content that sounds interesting or fun or engaging or exciting to you, hit that subscribe button, because we have many more mission-based individuals coming up on the line, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And Joey, Brandon, really, it has been a pleasure. I really appreciate you both making some time to come on the show today. So thanks again for coming on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us. This really enjoyed.